GeePawHill in the house on your screen, and just in time. It's only been like, I don't know, a year since I set this aside to work on some other important things. Anyway, I'm back, and I want you to see where we're at. Last time we did a spike, and we created an object that was kind of like this field getter in our spike. But then what we did, as we always do with spikes, threw it away and test drove the development of the field getter. And we put it in here, and we used it just for field names. Okay, there are 3 field name calls. The rest of this is all still using the old guy, who is a regex field validator. All right, so what I want to do right here is I want to fix this. I'm going to make this whole thing work correctly with the getter. So I'm just going to boldly say, get rid of that line. He's going to show me the few places where I don't have it. I'm going to say getter.getStringExpression. That'll work fine. What else have I got in here? I've got complaints about, the old short circuit trick. Short circuit, I'm going to have to double check this, but I think, okay, so I'll zip up here, take a look at short circuit. Turns out short circuit is Boolean, so back to where I was. If you're wondering, by the way, that's an Alt-Left-Shift will take me backwards in that stack. And down here we are, and I'm going to say getter.getBoolean, and again the function name is going to be the same name as that old. And I have another one for message, which is a string, and I still have yet another for key. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to get this in and then run my test real quick to make sure that everything is in good shape. Gotta remember to line up my parentheses just so. So that's it. I've fixed all the V's and turned them all into get calls to getter instead. And don't worry, I realize I'm adding duplication right now, and it feels a little bit on the icky side, but hang with me. We're going to do something cool. But first, let's make sure that our tests still pass. And they do. Everything is good. So what's next? Well, I'm going to pause for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing to some arbitrarily chosen other guy, which is this one. Let's say conditional visitor field validator. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did just here. And we're going to see what it looks like when I do that. Okay? I'll be right back. And we're back. Process conditional visitor field validator. It now uses getters everywhere. Getter, blah, 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 getter.getString, and so on. Now, what I want you to do is think about this. What is the difference between this function and this function? Because we've taken a huge step forward. It's amazing that by adding this one dynamic type handler, take a look at this. First we do the getter, then we assign a validator type. Okay, the validator types are definitely different from one to another. So I'm gonna move this up a line. Can't hurt, right? Now we're duplicating the getter. We instantiate the hash map. We test to see if the field name is not equal to null, and if so, we put it in there. But if we have to get string, okay, then we put it in using the getter rather than the raw value that was passed to us. We then put in an expression. There's our first difference, right there, the context. Okay, we put in an expression. All of that from here to here is the same code exactly. Then we put in a context. Then we put in an append prefix, which are 2 extras. But then we do these 2. We go right back, and these lines again are completely identical with the lines before. So my different lines are the assignment of the conditional visitor. The difference is these 2 extra values. Then we look up the registered validator type. Do this, do this, do this. This is a huge clue. All of a sudden, these 2 functions are incredibly close to each other. Ooh, that makes me go in a certain way. Okay. Now, what is my way going to be? This is one of those times when I have to tell you I do actually have an idea. My idea would be, what if I could convert this part, no, wrong part. What if I could convert all of this part to a method? Whoa. If I converted all of this part to a method, then I could call that method in both locations. And if I converted all of this part to a method, I could call that method in both locations. And the only significant difference would be these guys in the middle that aren't perfectly mapped upon each other. So to test that theory, I'm going to go one more time. So now I'm going to try process URL validator. Let's just try one more and see how well it works or doesn't work. Hang on just a second while I do this change. And there we are, slicker and snot on a brass doorknob. Process URL validator differs from these other two in that, look, it's straight. This is all the code that's shared. Okay, this part is shared with every other system, every other function in the system, and this part is shared. The part that would have been different would have been right here, and that, to remind you, is the two places where we finally put parameters after we put the field names. I'll tell you what, we're starting to mark up a little bit of time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break. What I have in mind, though, I think should be pretty clear to you. I'm going to find some way to call this, and then some way to call this, and then some way to stick the difference in between for each one of these validators. That's all for this short vid. Very small step, just changing some annotations from their specific types to this getter type has yielded for us an enormous step forward, and in fact a fair bit of work to make it all happen just right. We'll start that in the very next video. GeePawHill, peace out, and remember kids, drive safe.